Hey team, we're going to talk about a lot of hot topics on this channel, and there's always something new and exciting and interesting to talk about, but it doesn't mean a lot if we don't have the basics in place, So today, we're going to ask a couple of questions that sound deceptively simple. What is currency? What is money? Is there a difference? It's one of those things that's easy to assume that you know the answer to, that seems obvious unless you've stopped to really consider it. You might be surprised how hard they are to answer, so let's break down the distinction. Currency is a medium of exchange. That just means that you can use it to trade for different goods or services. People have used all kinds of things for currency throughout history, from seashells in the Solomon Islands, to tea bricks in ancient China, to Parmigiano cheese in some parts of Italy, to mobile phone minutes in some modern African nations. So can I use quesadillas as money? Are tendies legal tender? Well, no, because not just anything can be currency. They have to have certain qualities to work as currency. Here are a few. Portability. Lots of people around the globe have historically used livestock as a way to exchange value. It makes sense in lots of ways. Livestock have utility. They give the owner milk, meat, and fur. And given the right care and feeding, they can produce lots more milk, meat, and fur. But it's not always easy to exchange a goat for something else you want. For a quick trip to the market, it's tough to drag along an obstinate goat who has his own interests in mind. It would be much easier to carry something much smaller, like a small animal, maybe gerbils. Can we use gerbils as money? No. I was thinking small pieces of paper that you can keep in your pocket. That's one reason my landlord won't accept goats or gerbils for my monthly rent. Another reason is divisibility, because I don't want to cut my goats or gerbils in half to buy from two different people. You need to be able to divide your currency into small amounts so you can exchange small items. Most countries have different denominations of currency for this exact reason, like dollars, quarters, dimes, pennies, and up the line from 5, 10, 20, 50, and $100 notes. P.S. We will get to Bitcoin in more detail later in this series, but please understand that you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, very, very small amounts. And the same is true of virtually every other cryptocurrency. You do not have to afford a whole coin to get in on the game. That's the beauty of divisibility. If all we used for currency were gold bricks, you'd have a hard time buying anything worth less than a gold brick. Maybe you could buy that Lamborghini, which is awesome, good job, very proud of you, but you couldn't buy tacos. And you would starve to death alone in the driver's seat of your Lambo, wishing you had better money to use than your gold bricks. Okay, next item, durability. Metal coins can clang around in my pocket, no problem. They will not break. They are very hard to damage beyond recognition. But what if I wanted to use Fabergé eggs? They have a lot of great qualities. They're rare and generally recognized as very valuable. They're small and easy to carry, but they are not durable. If you trip and you drop your bejeweled egg, good luck trying to trade it. Currency benefits a lot from durability. This is conceptually similar to the next characteristic that we'll look at, which is fungible. What a fungible word. Fungible simply means that something is interchangeable or homogeneous. One is the same as the other. It brings to mind the line from poet Gertrude Stein, "A rose is a rose is a rose." I'll leave it to the literary scholars to discuss what Stein meant by that, but taken literally, she's just wrong. A rose can be big or small, fragrant or odorless, yellow or deep red, a spring bud or a wilted blossom. So guess what? Roses make really crappy currency. In contrast, when something is fungible, it can be swapped for qualitatively identical copies without any problem. The dollar bill in my pocket is as good as the dollar bill in your pocket, while the rose in my garden is probably much worse off than the rose in your garden, because I'm not much of a gardener. Next item, stability. It helps if the currency is stable, meaning its value stays relatively constant. If the value is rising sharply or dropping suddenly, then people treat it very differently. It'll scare people into either rapidly spending everything they have or hoarding as much as they can, neither of which is really what currency is for. If the value of a currency is rising, that's not really currency anymore, it's an investment asset. It's a thing people will spend currency to get. If it's dropping rapidly in value, then it's also no longer currency, it's just stuff. If paper currency loses its value, it's just paper. Stability gives people confidence that they can use that currency as a standard. They know that barring some huge change in supply or demand, the price of something today will more or less be the price of that thing tomorrow. It makes life a lot easier to plan. Somebody should share this precious knowledge with the wonderful people in the Federal Reserve. Because the final quality is you want a currency that is in limited supply and widely recognized and accepted. Why limited supply? Wouldn't it be better if money was everywhere and easy to get? Wouldn't that be amazing? Well, that becomes a problem really fast. You see, the things you want to buy with your currency, they are in limited supply, definitely. When the kitchen is out of burritos, you can't just conjure more burritos by adding zeros to a spreadsheet. Whether it's fresh strawberries or a fancy car or a house or a new employee at work, the things you're paying for are finite. And if somebody has some of these finite, valuable things, the only way they will trade them is in exchange for similarly valued items that are also in limited supply. This is how commerce works. And funny enough, one of my favorite cartoon ducks from the 1990s seems to have understood this way better than our current government. We also mentioned currency being widely recognized and accepted. These are qualities of an efficient currency system. When a currency is widely recognized and accepted, you know that currency is doing a good job, or at least better than the alternatives. I could spin up Austin coin this week, but nobody would care. My sway on the global economy, or even the local economy, isn't enough for people to trust some monetary system that I came up with. At least, not yet. So, we've talked about currency. But what then is money? Aren't they the same thing? Well, money is a lot like currency, but with some very important distinctions. First, money is not necessarily a medium of exchange. I would have a hard time buying groceries and paying in gold. Most merchants are not set up to accept gold. You can't swipe gold at their point of sale. They don't have a good way for accounting for it or paying their bills with it or paying taxes with it. Even though most people know that gold is valuable and durable and portable, etc. It just isn't what modern systems use to exchange value. So currency does some things that money can't necessarily pull off. So does money do things that currency can't? Yes, it can. It acts as a store of value over long stretches of time. It maintains value not just in the near term, but over years and decades and lifetimes and generations. This is just an example, but let's look at two fairly archetypal examples of currency and money: the US dollar and gold. 100 years ago, you could buy 4 pounds of sirloin steak for $1. Today, after taxes, you can't even buy a Slim Jim for $1. An often cited statistic is that the US dollar has slowly lost over 95% of its value, its real purchasing power, since the creation of the US Central Bank in 1913. Gold, on the other hand, has been a relatively good store of value in that time and has retained value over that whole stretch. If you had 1 ounce of gold in 1913, it was worth $20.67, which could buy you a solid wood kitchen cabinet. In 2013, it was worth between $1,200 and $1,600, which could buy you a solid wood kitchen cabinet. The dollar, the US currency, lost most of its buying power, the vast majority, poof, gone. Gold, a longtime standard of money, preserved buying power. So that is the difference between currency and money. Subtle distinctions that make all the difference. And there's a lesson in that too. Learn the subtleties, because as they say, the devil is in the details. Other terms we should discuss. What do you think? Are there fundamental topics you think need more explaining or need to be understood better, or that you personally would like to understand better? Just say the word right below, leave it in the comments, and we will talk about it in a future video. Thanks, team. Been fun. We'll see you again soon.